Well, as the election campaign gears up, Yvonne Jones is on the campaign trail. Labrador's incumbent Liberal MP is vying for a second term in the House of Commons, but she'll have to get by NDP candidate Ed Vedkowski and Conservative candidate Peter Panashwe. For more now, we have Yvonne Jones on the line. Ms. Jones, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bailey.
And we're reaching you in Mary's Harbour, correct?
Yes, I'm campaigning on the South Coast this week. Got back in Mary's Harbour last night and heading out to Charlottetown this morning, then on to Cartwright. So finishing up this part of southern Labrador and heading into central Labrador on the weekend.
Ms. Jones, as you know, last week Peter Panashwe launched his campaign, and sort of the central message that he had was that in order to enact any change, the member for Labrador needs to be on the government side. You've been in the opposition for the last 2 years. Have you found that to be true?
I think it really depends on the person that you choose to represent you. Maybe people like Peter Panashwe feel that they can't do anything to serve people unless they're in government. But there's lots of ways to serve people. And just in the last 24 hours, I won an appeal to Bell Alliance on customers in coastal Labrador that have bad internet service, ensuring that every single customer now in this part of my riding will get a $10 rebate on their internet services, something that would not have happened with government intervention, but with the intervention of strong leadership and a strong representative. So it really depends on how you view the job, in my opinion. If you have to support a government behind you every single day, yeah, maybe you can do a lot more. But if you're not willing to get up every morning and work hard for people, you're not going to accomplish anything. And I can cite many examples outside of government where I've had tremendous success in the last 2 years. One is, again, on the hydro rates for people in Labrador, in Lake Melville and in the Labrador West in particular, where there was huge rate increases being proposed for those areas. I was the only person who intervened politically on their behalf to fight that rate increase, and because of the public rallies and the pushback, the applications that I filed, the Public Utilities Board ended up withdrawing the application at the end of the day. So it really is the person and how hard you're prepared to fight for people, and I've fought very hard for the people in Labrador in my role as a member of Parliament. I just cited a couple of examples there.
Sure.
There's so many more. I could just list thousands.
All right, I want to ask you about some of the pressing issues that are still unresolved. In Labrador West, we have Wabush mines shut down, hundreds of houses on the market, IOC laying people off, over 2,000 grievances against IOC. If you're elected again, what can you do as an MP about the crisis in Labrador West?
Well, there's several things that has to happen. First, there has to be a legislative change as it relates to the CCAA in terms of where people who lose their jobs and company shutdowns and companies go into receivership, where they lie on the list of people being able to collect the monies that are owed them and guaranteed security to workers.
You're talking now about the pension issue for Wabush Mines pensioners?
And that's a key issue right now that is ongoing in Labrador West, specifically with Wabush people that have been displaced and on pensions. That is one of the first things that I will work to try and have change, so that workers who work their lives, pay into a pension plan, have that security at the end of the day, because they deserve no less than that. In terms of workers being displaced with IOC, these workers, of course, are like workers that were in Shefferville with Labrador Iron Mines, with Tata Steel. We've had over 1,000 workers, I think, altogether in the last 2 years displaced in the mining industry throughout Labrador, simply because of changes in the marketplace. How do we offset that when you're in a mining town and you have people who have high mortgages, have invested a lot in that community? One, you have to start by diversifying the economy and giving people other options. We were somewhat fortunate that Muskrat Falls was ongoing at the time, and we could refer a lot of workers to Muskrat. I think I handled alone, well over 300 cases in Labrador of individual workers.
So is that what you mean when you say diversify the economy, sort of redirecting people to the Muskrat Falls project?
Well, you got to be able to give people other options. If you live in a region where there's only one industry and one job that you can go to, and all of a sudden that company pulls out, it leaves people with no security, and that's what we've seen in Labrador West. Now, we've did a lot for individual people, helping them through their individual financial situations, but as a community, we were able to put pressure on the company, and I participated in the rallies with the union. I have meetings with IOC's top management, and at the end of the day, we were able to push back to save a number of the jobs in the community, but we did not save all of the jobs.
All right, and another hot-button issue that always comes up during federal elections is, of course, the future of five-wing Goose Bay. People aren't seeing the growth that they'd like to see. What could you do to increase activity on the base? Do you have a vision for five-wing Goose Bay?
Absolutely, I have a vision for five-wing Goose Bay, and that vision is starting to come through after a very long time. But if you look at the last 12 to 18 months, there has been more activity in five-wing Goose Bay in terms of training and contracts than we've had in the full 10 years prior to that, including the 2 years that the MP was on the government side of the legislature. In addition to that, what we've been able to do is revert thinking around five-wing Goose Bay, and it's taken a long time to do that. And there's been a lot of people involved in doing that. But finally, I think we're getting to the point right now where they're seeing five-wing Goose Bay as an asset in terms of providing for Arctic surveillance and the work that we're going to be doing across the Arctic in military training.
So you see the five-wing Goose Bay as a piece to be considered towards Arctic sovereignty and a training facility?
Absolutely. There's a number of things that are ongoing, not just the contracts that are already ongoing there. This year we did the first missions with Canadian Rangers going further north into the subarctic regions. We've been able to work with groups like Memorial University to establish an Arctic wing and to do that type of research that will be doing a lot of stuff with the base and with military operations as well. And we've been able to really change the mindset inside of government. In our own party, for us, the Liberals see right now five-wing Goose Bay as one of the key assets that we have, not just for military training, but we see a lot of use for the base within the community. When you look at the pressure on housing right now, we see that as being a solution to some of the housing problems that we have in the Lake Melville area because of the properties that are there. We don't see the need to be destroying many of the buildings and properties that are on that base, and we really believe that the Conservative government took the wrong focus on Goose Bay for far too long. So we've been able to basically put a vision around this where we can salvage a lot of the base in order to be able to meet different needs in Labrador. Looking out to the Arctic, doing training for military operations is just one part of it.
Ms. Jones, I wish we had more time today, but I do want to ask you about Bill C-51, because you did receive some criticism for voting yes on Bill C-51, voting in line with the Conservative government. And, of course, for our listeners who might not recall, that, of course, is a new terrorism bill. The Liberal Party voted yes. You got some criticism, some feedback on that. A couple months on now, do you have any second thoughts about that?
Absolutely none, and I think if you have listened to Justin Trudeau's interview on CBC National with Peter Mansbridge last night, I can't provide the explanation any better, in my opinion, than what he did. We were really forced into a corner by Stephen Harper on Bill C-51, and it really was making a decision about protecting the rights and freedoms of all Canadians and protecting the safety and security of all Canadians. And unfortunately, you didn't get a choice in picking one or the other. You didn't get a choice in choosing what options you wanted. You either had to support to protect the security of Canadians, or you had to vote to not to.
But having said that, the Conservatives do have a majority, so the Liberals could have voted no, and the spirit of the no can be something to the effect of, we support this, we support parts A, B, and C, but D, E, and F don't make quite as much sense, so for that reason we're voting no. The bill still would have gone through.
Well, it probably would have, but what we did is absolutely no different. We do support the sections A, B, and C, and therefore we voted for that. And we also made a commitment to the people of Canada to make the appropriate amendment in the oversight clauses, and we will do that. Our leader stated again last night on national TV that we will do that. To me, Bill C-51 is a non-issue for the Liberals in this campaign simply because we are the only party that have stepped up to say that we are going to make it right. Tom Mulcair was several weeks going around without making a statement on this until he realized that it could be an issue if he wasn't prepared to bring in safety and security legislation for Canadians.
All right, we'll have to leave it there for this morning, but I do thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bailey.
That's Liberal incumbent MP Yvonne Jones. She is running to be Labrador's Member of Parliament for a second term. She is up against NDP candidate Ed Rutkowski and Conservative Party candidate Peter Panashaway.